Hello and welcome once again to another amazing Craft Your Future Today episode. My name is Christopher Nyalwala. I'm your usual host. I'm really excited to host these sessions because it's a time when we get to explore all things that matter in life. And this touches on things starting from money to our mindset, to our beliefs, to our habits, to some of the assumptions that we keep making in life that sometimes may not be the correct, but we have just never questioned them. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to be discussing something just so amazing, and I hope that it will grab your attention. Now, today we are talking about love is not a financial plan. Let me say that again. Love is not a financial plan. And for this, we're going to be discussing what are some of the assumptions that couples make when it comes to their finances, when it comes to planning and structure and systems and legacy, and most important of all, wealth protection. Now, joining me for this conversation is none other than Mnyino Tairo, who's, she's been known for her, passion for talking about wealth protection. And it's not just out of passion, but she has lived this experience. And we get the pleasure of sitting down with her just this time and just talking through this topic. So, hi, Mnyino, welcome.
Hi, Chris. Asante sana. How are you doing?
I'm good. Happy you are here. Finally.
I'm also happy to be here. My goodness, it has been a long time coming, but I'm happy we are finally doing this.
I love this because now finally we are sitting, side by side. We're going to have such a hot discussion about how love is not a financial plan.
That is where majority of couples are stuck.
Yes.
And there's some specific conversations I feel that we are not having. Whether it's in our households, our churches, that I think we can have here, right? Yes.
Now, the biggest assumption is that, if my spouse passes, I will be okay.
Yes.
Because I've done measures and I can always find a way of moving on.
Yes.
Let's start there.
That's a very good place to start, Chris, because I can already think of a particular situation we had to deal with. You know, the way you say that there's so many assumptions, especially when it comes to couples, money, finances, protection. So even when you think about the different assumptions, yes, you've already said, love is not a financial plan. Yeah. That is true. And secondly, the assumption of we have a lot of time together. Yeah. And thirdly, what you have said that I assume if something happens to me, my husband can continue life as is. And I remember a few years back, I worked with a gentleman.
Okay.
And for him, he was married and with 2 young children.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he lost his wife. Yeah. Okay. And the wife was a stay-at-home mom. She was doing homeschooling for the children. She was the one who was handling the family affairs. And the man was the provider. He was the one in business. So you can actually think in this case, life will continue as usual because, it's the man who was making the money. But nobody ever thinks that one death can affect 2 incomes or it can affect now the overall family's dynamic. Yeah. So because in this case, in as much as yes, the wife was a stay-at-home mom she was just doing businesses here and there. It was an income, but not necessarily the bigger chunk compared to the husband. But yes, that one was lost. But the worst part is now this man going through grief. He could not do his business anymore. He had no desire of going back to work because, as I said, nobody ever thinks that, the chaos that actually comes from the loss of a spouse, people take in loss very differently. And for him, he froze and he could not do anything about it. And remember, his wife was the one who was, taking care of the kids and actually teaching the children, homeschooling the children.
Family, right? So each person has their role.
Everybody has their role.
Yeah.
So this guy cannot go to work to his business as usual. So the business is not going as well as it should. You know how it is with business owners, Chris. Sometimes your business takes your moods to some extent, right?
Tell me about it. You have to show up whether it's raining or it's...
Yes. Yeah. So for him, just because now of that situation, he cannot go to work as he could. He could not do the business as he could. And now who's going to take the kids to school? He has to look for money to take the kids to school because it was the wife who was homeschooling. So in this situation, in as much as we think that if something happens to me, my spouse can continue, you can tell, even in this case, the man could not even continue. And it took some time before he was able to get back on his feet, but the lifestyle also had pretty much changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what I hear you say, you know, we could assume we will be okay, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or I've put in measures, or I am running a business, I have sources of income, and I'm assuming that's enough.
Exactly. Like, think about it, even in my case, my husband had a business, but it's a business I can't even run because he was in the oil and the gas industry. I know finance and wealth, right? I cannot go all of a sudden to school to go and study that. So you might have thought because there was the existence of that business, I can continue running that business, but I could not continue running that business. So it's always important to, again, remember, just as you said, love is not enough. We can love each other. We can want the best for each other, for our children. But we have to also be very practical about it, because when life does happen, you're dealing with the courts. You're dealing with the chiefs. Please tell me where love comes in there. So you cannot go and tell the courts, oh, my spouse loved me so much. He would have wanted me to do this. They'll be like, me, I do not see a will. I don't see anything that was put aside. So we have to go through this whole court process to decide who gets what. And you know how long it can get, especially when it comes to,
And I think you also passed through it. And maybe you can share what was the experience like? Because I know you had a period where you were also sick, and you also had to stay out for some time as you're planning, figuring yourself. Maybe what helped you in your situation? What are some of the conversations that you had that many people usually assume?
So that's a very good question, Chris. It's true. Now, in my situation, my late husband died suddenly. COVID came and hit us on another level. Like, there's the new normal that people went through because of COVID, and there's the new normal I also went through. I feel like I went through a double new normal because, there was COVID, and then COVID changed everything. And then now you're married. Now, all of a sudden, you're not married. And now you have to, take care of everything. So even when I think about it and what I believe could have helped, because I will talk about the things which I feel like we did well and the things which we could have done better. Before we got married, we started with the money conversation, because we realized that is one of the things that couples are very scared to have, the conversation people are scared to have, because you don't want to look like you're money-minded, especially for us women. But money is such an important part of the marriage, so we cannot ignore something that is that important. It's just, I feel like an equivalent of talking, do we even want children? Right? It's something that is going to affect the both of us. So what we did before we got married, we just went, and at that time it was after we got engaged, not just like when we were like early in the dating. It was now way later.
When you're engaged, now you're serious.
Now we're serious. So we're very open on the things it is that we had. So what he had and also what it is that I have. We're very open about our aspirations, whether now it's in our career paths and business. My late husband was very open. He shared with me his pins, his passwords, because
that doesn't really happen.
I know.
With a lot of couples.
I know.
So he gave you access to his pin for M-Pesa,
exactly.
his bank account.
Because my thoughts are, again, everybody has their own philosophy. If we're planning to get married, and if I'm even planning to have children with you, how can we not be able to have a money conversation? How can this be something that is separate? Because I always look at it that this is a partnership. Now we have decided, we've come under covenant that now we are doing this thing called life together, right? Just the way, like if you have a business partnership, you understand that you're all coming with their strengths, your weaknesses. Even for me, I felt like now when we were getting into the marriage, it only made sense for us to be open with each other so we can see where are we going. What do we have right now, and how can we build to where it is that we're going? How can we work together? Because another very important conversation we had, and we had to be very open with each other. He was very good at making money, but not necessarily the best at managing it. But I was very good at managing.
So there's making and there's retaining.
Yeah, exactly. So I was good at retaining. So
All
he said, so he was very good at now, like, doing the deals. I know you men take a lot of risks, right?
Yeah.
So what used to happen is he goes and does his thing, then he comes and we discuss together because we already know what our vision and our goals are, and then now we allocate the funds based on where it is that we were going. Yes. So that was something that I truly appreciate because I don't even know where I would be right now if we did not have those conversations. Because if, in as much as he's not even there right now, the vision is still there for what it is we have or we wanted for our children, for our lives. I know there's some things that might not happen, but there is the bigger picture, especially when it comes to the family dynamics, the things that I can do. But it's because we kept on having this conversation. I remember we used to have like dates, like once a money date, like once a month, where we sit down with our spreadsheets, our numbers, and we're just planning matters money.
You know, for many people, money is a source of tension. It's
I know.
Frustration, and it's really it's a topic people would happily avoid.
It's
for
true.
sake of peace. For the sake of peace in the house.
But it's going to be chaotic later because I keep on saying that, what do you call it? Silence is the loudest close. It's one of, because you keep silent in your marriage, but in the case something was to happen, then nobody even knows where to start from, right? Yeah. Again, yes, I do understand there's many different dynamics, but if it was like, now let's say, for example, in my situation, because at least we had a bit of quite a bit of conversation. It made things, it was not that easy, but it made things, some parts a bit easier. Yeah.
So, I've heard your story a bit. And one thing that I'm always curious about, you guys must have talked about death at some point. Because, death is a taboo topic.
I know.
And for people to talk about, a life insurance cover, it means you're saying, yes, death can happen. And most of us are like, no, I don't want to face that.
Please, can I make you laugh?
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily have the death conversation because let me even just tell you, as much as I was in the industry, it's not a comfortable conversation, even for me as I was married. So the only reason now we were starting to put some things in place is literally to tick a box. We're like, okay, so we are getting married. So what do we need to do? Okay, emergency fund, check.
Okay.
Medical cover, check. I could fall pregnant, right? So we need to make sure that we have maternity cover. Yes. Life cover, check. It's not because we're really thinking any of us.
Where did you get the idea for life cover from?
It's one of those things that I had worked somewhere before, and this is something we used to help some clients with that. But I never thought of it because we were young. So I just did it literally to tick our boxes. So we even took the minimum cover at that time. Yeah. And then, so we're like, okay, that's check. And then we're like, okay, it will be important for us to, write a will. So we started the conversation, but it was uncomfortable, Chris. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah, it was not an easy conversation.
So I didn't really even want to think about it. It was easier now to have the conversation around what are we building? Okay, where do we want to retire in the next 50 years? That was a more comfortable conversation. So we already had, like even in our spreadsheet, let me tell you, we had like our 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 15.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, when we hit 70, we're going to.
Yeah, this is what we're going to be doing
Yeah, and then life happens because again, as I said, one of the assumptions is we think that we have a very long time together. You cannot really tell how life can go. Yeah, some people's marriage ended in divorce. Mine ended in death. It ended. Yeah, one thing couples need to know is the marriage would end somehow, right? Yes. Because even if it is now, it's the divorce is one way, but one of us is going to go before the other, or even if we go at the same time. But at that time, there's the dissolution of the marriage. So it's important to always think about the end. It's not comfortable, but it's critical. Just the way when you are coming into a partnership, you have to think of the end. It just is what it is. Not a comfortable conversation, but a critical one. Yeah.
But a critical one. So the first assumption is, one, we have time. Yeah. Then the second one is if my spouse passes, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be okay, or we will manage.
Yeah, or if I pass, he will manage.
You've just highlighted the possibility that even the spouse remaining could face challenges with trauma and bouncing back. Maybe they're running a business, they could fail. may not even show up at work. If they're
Exactly.
employed, their performance may
Yeah.
go down.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you know your employer doesn't care.
Yeah.
They might
In
be
fact,
like,
you're
they'll
given
feel,
your compassionate leave for 2 weeks.
I know.
And then
you're
you should
told
show
you have
up. Like
to
you
be
should
back.
go back. Yeah.
Exactly. So for us, again, the other good thing we did is just that now the only thing that I had access to was now the life cover that we had. Yes,
Okay.
it was minimum, but it was something that was able to pay our rent with the kids and day to day, because I was also grieving. And at that time, I just given birth, and in my mind, I told myself, I don't really think I can go. I can go look for a job now. I'm not in the mental state to, or even emotional state to go look for a job, because I've just lost the love of my life and I don't even know how to move forward. So because we had the cover, it gave me some runway of about a year and a half. So that is what I used to now pay the bills in the meantime, and also used it as capital for the Risk Africa that we have now. So it's through that, I feel like my husband continues to live on, because when he passed, that is what got paid out and what I actually now put back into the business. So I feel like this is also part of his legacy.
Interesting, because one thing that many people look at a life cover, insurance cover, we look at it as a death policy.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's another angle to
Yes.
it. Maybe just speak about the other angle of having it.
How I look at it, I think we really need to reframe insurance in general, life insurance in general, because when people think about it, it's true. Even how people sell it and how it's framed currently is, if you die.
It's all about the negative.
It's all about the negative. But how I look at it is that it's a continuity plan, right? Nobody ever knows when life can hit them. That's why I like to give this example, and I've given it over and over again, that if I'm going for a safari to the Mara and I have my car, I'll put a spare tire just in case. But where will my focus be? Will my focus be on enjoying the journey, or, oh my God, something could happen to me and I might have to use that tire? No, my focus is on the journey. And if I get a puncture, at least I have a spare tire, right?
You're prepared for it.
Exactly, I'm prepared for it. So that's how I also look at life. And even when I think about a protection portfolio in life insurance in general, I'm living my life, I'm enjoying my life, but I cannot tell even what will happen tomorrow. I'm trusting God for the very best, but life could go either way. Yeah, it's only God who knows what is going to happen. So at least if it does go down the direction I did not expect, I have that spare tire to continue. Because think about it, like my husband was, the head of this household, the one who was taking care of this family. And because he put the right plans in place, his family still moves on, right? That means his legacy still moves on, right? That means his children still go to the school he wanted them to go to. We still are living the lifestyle that he gave us at that time. Right? So if that was not to happen, just the way if you didn't have a spare tire, you have to sit there and wait for help. Or you might have to go back to where you came from, right? But if you had a spare wheel, you just put it in the car and the journey continues. Now, even if now life hits and you have your life cover, you dust yourself up and continue.
You actually have time to grieve and then proceed.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah, because I think we look at it from a textbook perspective. We literally, I think most people just think that they can bounce back, but nobody ever knows, as I said, the emotional and mental impact when, it hits you extremely different, and people take different timelines to heal, right? So for me, I did have to continue, because in my mind, I was like, okay, this money could run out. And have young children
and it's
to take
a
care
legitimate fear.
Exactly. So at least it did give me almost a year. But during that year, what I was also doing is teaching myself maybe how to do social media, because I didn't know how to do socials, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't even know how to run a business, because I'd never run a business before. So at that time, part of the money I invested in coaches. I had to get some certifications. And now I was also on YouTube University, trying to figure out, okay, so this is the situation. I had opened a page yet, but I was not serious about it. I think I had like 90 followers. So now I have to be serious about this business. So what do I need to do? So I just started slowly but surely. But the good thing is that it gave me that cushion that I did not have to be on survival mode to now like in a way that I have to go back to a job or something immediately to now continue. Yeah, so it gave me a bit of time, and I started slowly, like just one client, then 5 clients, until I got a place where it is that I was comfortable. Yeah.
Just listening to you just reminded me, because recently we did a couples event.
Nice.
A couple event. Just
hey, why didn't you invite me, Chris?
Sometimes getting you on the phone, not physically, on the phone, even quite difficult. But I will still invite you for the next time. So in that session where we are talking different couples, and one of the things we are talking about is, are you building wealth together, or are you living side by side? And what I hear you as you speak is, you need to be in one accord with your husband. You need to have the same mind, and you need to be working together, building together.
Exactly.
The norm is always, we settle into our roles and think that is our system that we have in place.
Yes.
And so love is there. So long as we are together, love is enough. Love is our financial plan. But it means we need to go beyond that, and there are certain systems that we need to put in place.
That is true.
Maybe you can take us through what are some of the systems we need to put in place in terms of preparing a legacy plan for us. What are some of the things we need to do, or even start talking about?
So even before we get there, maybe we'll have to address that aspect where you're saying that, are we doing this side by side, or are we actually doing this as a team? Because we need to also remember that we have been single before. We came and we met, and then now we're doing this thing together. So majority of people, because these are conversations we're not necessarily having. Even when I think about what do they call it? The one in church, the couples thing before you get married. What is it called?
Engagement?
No, not engagement. There's the thing that you have to, the classes you have to go to before you get married. Yes, that one. Yeah, so I feel like there's some conversations that we are not necessarily having there, because sometimes what usually happens is we are getting, I feel like we don't even know we need to define what marriage means to us. I think that it can be a very important place to start. How do you envision, or what does it mean to you? Because what marriage means to you might be different from what marriage means to me. Maybe how your parents did things is different from how my parents did things.
And that's even, coming up with values for our marriage. Because we came in as individuals, we had our own values. What are some of the values for our marriage?
Because think about it, Chris. If I came from a household where my dad did everything and my mom was not involved, or my husband, that is what he saw in his family. Now he brings that to now the marriage, and for me, I saw my parents do things together. So now we're trying to reconcile, because there is his truth and there's my truth. So at what point do we create our truth? What is comfortable for the both of us? I think we have minimal guidance when it comes to that, because even if we are talking special funds, money market funds, insurance, if the values are not there, it's not even going to help much. Because I feel like even when it comes to protection, in my opinion, is our values being at least similar is a very good place to start. Right? Because yes, you were talking about the systems, creating a legacy system, but even before we get to the actual tools, what is our marriage philosophy? What does it mean to the both of us? Because again, if we're coming into something that is supposed to be for the rest of our lives, for better to us, because I don't think people take those vows very seriously. Do you know what? For better, for us,
for usually we don't focus on that one.
Until death do us part. we never think about that. And you have to remember that now you are going to be coexisting in this institution. So it will be very difficult for us to coexist and if we don't have similar values, because what happens if we're going through life, or now things have started changing, maybe when it's our careers, maybe okay, my husband lost his job and now he's feeling some type of way, or now the babies have come in, I'm focusing more on the child. What is that thing that is going to keep us still together? Because we have to be able to anticipate that sometimes life will not go as planned, because it's a journey. Yes, we like to look at it from, oh my God, I am so in love. Yeah.
Nothing can separate
nothing
us.
can separate us.
And
until,
something as simple as, job loss or any trauma that happens.
Exactly.
Can pull you apart.
Yes. Yeah. So nobody, as I said, nobody can anticipate, because most probably when we were dating, we didn't really go through maybe a life-changing situation.
Yes.
But if we're looking in that we're getting married and we're looking at it from a forever perspective, what are the things that could also possibly happen? Because I think we never like to think of what could happen that is not favorable for us. But I believe that it is so important and critical, even as you're planning for the good things. It's just important to have like a sort of risk management plan for what could also happen. Just the way, as I said, when you are in a business partnership or in just a partnership in general, it's good to just to look at, oh my goodness, okay, if we come together, this is what we are looking into achieving. But how do we deal with the bumps in the way? Some bumps could be bigger, others smaller. There could be, yes, maybe a job loss, or you could lose a parent, or, okay, what happens? Sometimes it's not even a death. What if you get incapacitated?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not dead, but you cannot do much, maybe for a couple of years. Maybe someone got into a very serious accident. What does that mean? So that's why I'm saying, even before we start now talking about the different tools that we're going to use, or the systems to build the wealth or to protect the wealth, I think having similar values and agreeing on a similar vision can be helpful, so that even during those tough times, we still remember why we are here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that for me is the baseline. And then for me in my life, the one thing that also helped me as a woman after loss of a spouse was having a marriage certificate.
Oh, really? Please tell us.
Well, sometimes I know. So, Chris, my goodness. Because, what happens is, are you legally married to this? We could be living together, because nowadays marriage can take different shapes and form. And sometimes we could be, cohabitating, but we're not necessarily married in paper.
We stay?
Yeah, we stay?
And
exactly.
People do it for a long period of time, and we assume everyone knows we are married.
Yeah. And then also we even have children.
Yes.
Within that dynamic, right? So I do understand it's important to do what works for you. But now in my case, the reason why I feel that the marriage certificate was a very important protection document is now, because we didn't have a will and we have to go through the courts, there's the things that the wife can be able to get access to. So if I was, not necessarily married, most probably maybe some things could just go directly to the children. And if now there was a lot of issues which I also did face during now like the succession journey, there's a chance that I would have been kicked out even from access of my own husband's things.
So the assumption that my spouse it'll generally flow to my spouse.
Yeah, my partner.
My partner will. Everyone knows we've been married, so naturally she goes. So that's an assumption.
That is an assumption. Because another assumption, I like that when we're having the conversations, the assumptions are coming up is my relatives will just know what to do.
Yes.
Because usually now when one of the spouses is not there, again, remember it's an emotionally charged situation. And you cannot really tell how people are going to react at that time. So there's the way the family might take it, and there's the way you are taking it. So that's also another assumption that people never think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
The certificate is one thing that we really assume.
Yes.
We assume people know that we were together. We assume.
Yeah. So, yes. Because I've seen situations where the relatives say, me, I don't know this woman. I think she was just, I've seen a case where someone actually called the wife a house help. Yeah, wow. Like it's so unfortunate, especially when money is involved. You never know how people can come. There's the situations where people are mature about it, but unfortunately, there's also situations where people are not. So the marriage certificate is a very good protection tool, especially in such cases. And for the people who, are in a cohabitation, agreement or situation, it is important now for them. Those ones, if there's people who have to have a will and a trust, are those people. If there's a reason why you do not want to have the certificate, it's in case now someone was gone, it's going to be sometimes a challenge to do a follow-up. What happens if someone shows up and says they were also another wife? Yeah, like it can get pretty hectic. So it's good to just make sure that your marriage is registered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have first come up with your family values.
Yeah.
What are the things going to govern you in your relationship? And the values also covers your children and all that.
Yeah.
Then come up with, ensure you have a marriage certificate, a legal document proving that you're married. Don't assume, because even family, you can assume family understand your situation, but sometimes not everyone has good intentions.
Exactly.
So it's something that you also can't assume.
Yes, exactly.
That you had a financial plan.
Yes. And love, as you said, love is not a financial plan.
Love is not a financial plan.
Yes.
Okay, so we proceed.
Yes.
Like, for example, you've mentioned a will a couple of times, and most of the time our assumption is a will is for those guys who are rich and have something to leave behind, an estate to leave behind.
Yes. That's also another assumption that we do not have enough to start this conversation.
So maybe just in your experience, how has a will helped? What are situations that a will can help?
Okay.
And maybe are there situations where you need more than a will?
Okay. Yeah. So I like, as I said, I like to just use my journey, right? I feel that a will would really have helped because it would have been very clear what are my late husband's intentions for his assets in case life was to happen for now me as his wife and the children, because that was not written down, it means then we have left it for the courts to make a decision on our behalf. So I look at a will as your voice when you're not there. Because if your voice is not there, it means that whoever is able to push or whoever it is that maybe has the most influence is that's the voice that is going to be heard. It might not even have been your wishes, but because you did not put it in writing, then we have to now go through the whole succession process now using the laws of Kenya because you did not actually put your own laws. So how I look at it also is that by you putting this thing in writing is, again, you putting the government or other people away from your own affairs and decision. It's at least gives direction of what it is that I would have wanted. I think maybe the biggest risk with a will is if it gets contested, because someone can have, what it is that he wants to happen, and then someone's like, no, I don't think that is what you would have wanted, right? Because yes, you could have put down a will, but someone can maybe try and come up with a case to, contest that will. So, but it's still better to have it, because let me even tell you how it is that, I've built my own protection. I currently do also have a will, and I feel that it is important for couples to have a will, because maybe there's also the assets that you do own individually. So in case something happens to you, it's just important to put it down to just shorten the court process. Yeah. So that one is very, very critical. And then maybe eventually now, what I wish we also did was to have a trust, because if our assets had been transferred to a trust and the trust was the owner, it means I would not have had to go through the courts, because I'm no longer the owner, he's no longer the owner, but the trust is the owner and the trust does not die. So especially if it's a couple that is, thinking about generational wealth, and you want this wealth to last a very long time, or you're someone who is building, this is a very, very important part of the structure to think about. So you can now do the will, or depending on your situation, that's why it's important to now speak to an advocate, a lawyer, to just understand your situation, to see, do you even really need a trust? Because a lot of our clients who have mostly cash or cash equivalent, because another thing most people don't know is that even money market fund accounts, in case you pass away, it has to go through the courts. Yeah, most people don't. The way we usually fill in beneficiary details there.
Just touch on that.
Imagine.
I love that. Please just speak
Yeah.
on that a bit. Because we always
Yes.
assume, because my wife knows I invest with a particular fund,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, I filled and said next of kin. I filled and said next of kin,
And
my
benefit,
lovely,
yes,
beautiful
yes,
wife.
imagine.
And I assume
Yeah.
it's okay. So please
Yes.
speak into that.
Let me even share. Like sometime last year, we lost one of our clients.
Yeah.
And we had helped him set up a money market fund account. And he had made his wife 100% beneficiary of his money market funds. And unfortunately now when he passed away, now you're reaching out to the MMFs, the fund manager, and the fund manager is like, the only time we can help you is if you have, your letters of administration from the courts. And in as much as, yes, it's written there as beneficiary, then I even asked the fund managers, then why do you even make people fill in this thing? Right? They're like, no, it's for direction. So even when the whole process is over, it can make life a bit easier. But what if the courts change the dynamics and someone else completely receives that money, So it's important to really note that if you have a money market fund account, special funds, because I know a lot of us, that is where we are, the investments, and you
even
have
bank
filled
account?
in. Even bank account, So bank account, what they make us fill in is that next of kin. Okay. I'm telling you, I don't think there's anything as useless as that next of kin.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't give you any information. The only thing, like even for me in my case, they just called me to say, oh, we've seen that, your husband's account has not been active. Is he okay? Then I'm just like, no, he passed away. That's it. That is the job of the next of kin.
So it's just to notify or follow up.
Yeah, exactly. Because they just said before.
The way to access the funds, what would be the best way of doing it? Like,
no, you have to go through the
joint
courts.
account?
Oh, yeah, joint account does help. So as I said, it depends on your marriage dynamics, because we understand sometimes if there's, you get someone who's a big spender and maybe you have a joint account and it can get very hectic, but a joint account
for immediate needs, to sort out some immediate cash needs, it would sort out that scenario.
Yes, like a joint money market fund account or a joint bank account, for in case I was not there, at least you still have access. So having some assets jointly can help in that term, right? Because for me, in my case, most of the things were just in his name. So the courts have to first of all determine who it is that I'm. So how the court process goes, in case something was to happen, there's the way, like, first of all, they need to make sure, okay, creditors are paid first. There's something called gazettement. You have to actually announce that this person has passed away. So if he had anybody's money, those creditors, they have to come. They have to eat first. The creditors have to eat first before the family accesses anything. So it's a whole very tedious, very draining process, especially when you're going through grief, right? So yes, a joint account would have helped, but just when it comes to structure, yes, joint account, but eventually just having a will and a trust. A bare minimum, have a will, right? Because most people, I think from a cultural perspective, or I think even sometimes religious people, I've had people ask me, I'm Christian. I've not seen this thing written in the Bible, but what is very interesting, these are the same people who are investing in money market funds and special funds. I've also not seen it in the Bible either. Yes. So it's just the concept, because there's some things that were being done at that time. We do understand communication. They used to send messengers. Now we use the phone, right? True. When it comes to growth and investments, they used to, keep cattle or grow crops. But now we invest in the money market funds, special funds. Protection, we put now the fences, or we also have structures around or even actually in the Bible, you'll see where people are actually putting things in writing. So even for us, in our case, we still need protection, because even in scripture, it says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Yeah. So how are you going to leave an inheritance if you have no structure? Yeah. So it means all the money or all the wealth that you've built over time is going to be used mostly by lawyers. Lawyers, I think, are the ones who are really winning in this game, right? Because you are in chaos. You have to find a lawyer, and hopefully you get the right one, because you can also get some who are not very straightforward. And then maybe only your third attempt you get the right lawyer. And then you've already spent so much money.
But also a lawyer can only help you if you know where to look.
Yeah.
Because if you've not had the conversation of, I have money in this bank,
You won't. Exactly.
You will not know whether there's money in that bank.
Yeah.
If you don't know that we own a particular building in town, you will never follow up to get ownership.
It's true.
Yeah.
Let me share an example, Chris. This is why I'm saying couples.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's just say structure is extremely critical and don't be too secretive. Yeah, because there's a case where I know that a man got a really, really bad car accident, right? And they thought that he was going to die. So because he also thought that he was going to die, like there's a time that he was just awake for some moments. Then he asked for his wife. Then he told his wife, okay, so bring a pen and paper. Write the list of, these are all the things that I have. The wife was in shock because he had never told her that he had never disclosed. So fortunately, the guy, I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, fortunately he did not die. The wife was so angry because what if he died?
Yeah.
She would never have known that this guy owned all these things. She wouldn't even have known where to start, and they have young kids. So they really had to go to a therapist so that they don't go through a divorce because the guy was so angry. Yeah, today the winner is unclaimed assets. I even know someone who, because he didn't disclose to his wife that he had a house, the guy died. And the person who was living in the house eventually did find out because he was like, hey, this guy is no longer collecting rent. Only to find out,
the tenant.
The tenant found out that this guy is not collecting rent. Then he just thought, okay, now maybe something has happened to him. So when he now asked around, they found out that the guy died. But his family never came because supposedly never. And the guy didn't go and look for his family. He just thought that God has blessed him with a new house. Now it will be his own kids' inheritance. Are you understanding? If we don't put plans and structures in place, someone will win and it will not be your family. So you will not necessarily be that good man that we are speaking about in the Bible who's leaving an inheritance to his children's children. So structure has to go hand in hand with the love that you are talking about. Yeah.
Wow. Just talk about this is just such a reality that many of us don't live in. We have a way that we have always thought life is.
I know.
That things always flow rightfully the right way. Yes. If you love one another.
Imagine. This thing called love.
It's beyond.
Yes. And when I think about it now, things like marriage, things like parenthood, we need to think a lot about the responsibility of these titles, right? What does it mean for me to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife beyond just the love aspect, right? So it means I need to take responsibility. So what does responsibility look like? Responsibility means I'm putting the right structures in place. Yeah.
Okay. So we want to start winding down.
Okay.
So we've covered a number of assumptions.
Yes,
and I love that even as we're covering the assumptions, we are providing the system and the structure to go along with it.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice for couples and families? I like that you said it starts even before you get married.
Yeah.
There are certain conversations that you need to start having.
Yeah.
So there are some people who are hearing this podcast, and their mouths their jaws are dropping, and they're wondering, where do we start even with this thing?
Let me tell you, you just start with a conversation. You just need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I think we first need to just know that this is a conversation that we need to have, right? So you could either put down some questions which you can ask each other and do your best to be as open and as transparent as possible. Because if I'm married to you and I say I love you, I want the best for you. And I also pray that you want the best for me. So this is because it's an important part of our whole marriage life. It will be important to start having specific conversations, especially now, as you said, now we're building this world and there's a certain trajectory we want to have. It's important to just start with being open with each other and just having the right conversation, maybe addressing what are your fears, what are your aspirations, right? Because again, I truly believe then if you're getting to the level where you're marrying someone is because you also know them and you trust them. Because I think sometimes the issue is you're getting married to someone you don't really trust, or
that's actually quite common. We don't talk about it, but it's actually quite common.
Exactly. I think the hardest part for me to comprehend is how I trust this person enough to have a child with him, but
which
not
is a
enough.
lifelong decision.
Exactly, it's a forever decision.
You'll never stop being a parent, whether you divorce
Exactly.
Or like you will always be a parent.
Yeah. But money is where we draw the line.
Money is where we draw the line. Like,
exactly.
No.
So so it's good to again now seek an advisor. Now let's say, for example, sit down with you or come to sit down with us in terms of protection, because you can be able to guide them. This is the place where it is that you can start, because as I said, these are things we don't talk about. Our parents didn't talk to us about it. We don't know where to even start. So it could better be just a conversation between the two of you to just acknowledge that this is help. We need help. Right? And then now seeking the right advisor who can guide you down that journey, not someone who's going to start and tell you, oh, get money market, get special fund. Even before you get there, like just to understand your goals as individuals and as a couple, because in as much as we're a couple, we still I do understand that we are also individuals as well. Yes. So to just make space for all us together as a couple and also make space for us as individuals, right? We need to also to maintain some level of autonomy, right? Okay. And then now, even now as you're building your structures, be like, okay, now we need to set up an emergency fund to ensure there's enough liquidity in case maybe one of us was to lose a job, because sometimes when someone loses a job, it can really hit them hard. And we do understand some people's, not necessarily personality, but identities attached to their jobs. And then you're wondering, why is your spouse so grumpy? But it's just because he's lost his job. But if there's a bit of a cushion, it can be helpful. And then, okay, you are married now or planning to get married. If you're planning to have children, then it's important to have a medical cover that can be able to take care of a pregnancy if it happens. Because another thing we get a lot is, oh, I'm pregnant, can I get medical cover? You can't, because you can't get because there's the waiting period. And then life cover, we've spoken about it, Chris, because nobody ever know how life can turn. We pray for a very long life together, but sometimes life does happen. So it's important to ensure that I can still continue with your legacy, whether even if you are not there, right? And as I say, the good thing about life cover is also the living benefits in case of a critical illness, in case of an accident. So even in the case of an incapacitation, we don't have to think too much about the money aspect of things. We can try and figure things out. Yeah, I think, by the way, if we're to, this is, I feel like a whole day conversation, but
it is.
And then things like, trust fund accounts, in case now their life insurance proceeds have been paid out, how can they be structured? Another big thing that people never think about is people can die at the same time. Both parents. I've seen situations where both the father and mom, both are gone at the same time, and there's no structure for the child, and the child is so used to this lifestyle. Now they have to start from zero, right? And then also, how do we grow all together? Is there a pension plan? Is there a retirement plan? And then even as we're doing our investments, yes, we do understand the ones which we're going to be doing individually, but it's important to, even for the ones which we're doing jointly, it's because we have a common vision and a common goal. And then now eventually writing a will, because for our own individual assets, how is it going to be distributed in the case I was not there? And then, eventually having a family trust, is because the cash trust only deals with cash and cash equivalent, and the family trust now to own now your family dynasty, so that, you're planning for generations and generations to come. So if you have that and you're having just the right conversations, I keep on saying protection is liquidity, which is now the insurance bit, the first part I've spoken about, then having the right structures, which is now the wills, the trust, and then the right conversations. Like the conversation we're having today.
I love it. Thank you so much. I think this topic has, there's a lot to share, but I feel like what we've just discussed right now is enough to start conversations out there.
I know.
For people who are watching.
Yes.
Some people are hearing this for the first time. Some people are hearing it for the 7th time. But every time you listen to it with new revelation. And I believe it will help people make informed decisions going forward.
Exactly, Chris. And I know we've done this together as well. If there's any couples who are out there and this is a conversation they need to have, you can just reach out to us, because for us at Le Risk Africa, focus mostly on protection. And everything it is that you're building, as long as you are responsible for it and you find it valuable, it is worth protecting. So if you come to us also as a couple and you say, okay, I don't even know where to start from my protection journey, we can be able to guide you. And even for you, I know when it comes to even how they are growing their wealth and their businesses, they can come and sit down with you and share their vision. You'll understand their values based on the conversations that you're having, and then you guide them from there. So together, eventually they come up with a proper plan from a proper structure from the growth to protection and preservation of the family wealth for generations to come.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mnyino.
Thank you,
it was
Chris.
a pleasure having this discussion
Thank
with you.
you so much.
And just to wrap it up,
Yeah.
one thing that we want to just emphasize out there is that us at Craft Your Future, we have a couples program called Marrying Your Money. And this is about, it's more than love. You need a financial plan. You need structure. You need to have the end goal in mind and not just focusing on the today. So we've just had a whole discussion from, even before getting married, what some of the conversations you need to be having, and also think about your children's children, guys. All right. So once again, if this is your first time watching this, we are so glad you were able to catch this episode. Please share it with your friends. First of all, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe. Leave us a comment. What touched you? What do you feel that you need to start talking about more? What do we need to start talking about more? And definitely, we look forward to even our next episode where we keep having very real conversations with real people who have real issues. Thank you and see you soon.